Scotty.
He sells water systems. That's his job. He's been doing it for 17 years, and he really likes it. But look at it, I think he likes it. But yeah, he's going to be like testing water and stuff.
Thank you, Dylan. All right. Have a seat. Where am I? Hi, everybody. I'm Scotty. My nickname's Freaking Freeman.
What?
Yes, they call me at work. No. So, we're going to talk about water. What do you know about water?
Drink it. It's what you drink.
Okay. What's the chemical formula for water? Anybody know? So, what does that mean?
Water.
How many parts hydrogen? 2. One part oxygen. All right. Your body is about 2/3 to 3/4 water. It's essential for all biological functions. You're supposed to drink about how many glasses of water a day? 4 to 10, yeah. Varies. What I do is I sell water purification systems. I'm not going to sell you one. You can fill out a credit app so far. But what we're going to do is have a little fun with it. I want to talk to you about reverse osmosis. I'm going to talk to you about water. Most of the world's surface is water, about 70%. 97% of all the water in the world is ocean water. So we can't drink that, right? It's salt. Only 3% is fresh water, and 99% of that is frozen. How about that? It only leaves a tiny bit left for all the billions of humans and animals to survive. So we should take care of it, shouldn't we? For not much. Responsible for all your bodily functions. Now, what happens? How does water come into your house and into your tap or into your well? How does it get there? Anybody know? Go ahead.
The water cycle.
The water cycle. The water evaporates, right? And some of it comes off plants too, transpires, and goes up in the air. And what? Evaporation, transpiration, right? Gets up there. And it's pretty good water at that point, and then what happens to it? It comes back down, it precipitates. Anything that's falling is precipitating, right? Right? And then it's not so good, especially in Pennsylvania. Because when it leaves the cloud, it picks up chemicals on the way down. It becomes contaminated and polluted. Anything in water that's not hydrogen or oxygen doesn't belong there, does it?
No.
Not part of the recipe. Not part of the formula. Your body craves the H2O, not all the other junk, right? So what does it pick up on the way down? You ever hear acid rain? Study that in school? It's real. It's not a myth, it's a fact. It's proven. I've seen it proven right in front of me. Chemicals from other states that aren't even produced in Pennsylvania in our streams that can only come from other places. And the jet stream pushes them all around the world, right? Did you know, remember the tsunami hit Japan? It was really terrible, and they had a nuclear meltdown, and this cloud of radioactive stuff went up in the air. And there's all these hundreds and hundreds of dairy farms in Connecticut and Maine that can't sell milk anymore because those radioactive chemicals are in their cows. So it's really sad. But anyway, in Pennsylvania, what it rains out of the sky, it's sulfuric and nitric acid. We have the second worst acid rain in the United States right here in Pennsylvania. It's pretty bad. Average. You know about pH? You guys hear about pH? Percentage of hydrogen in your water? What's neutral pH? 7, right? Something below 7 is acidic. Well, when it comes to rainwater, the pH is 5.6. That's perfect rainwater, perfectly balanced pH. Anything below that, 5.6, is considered acid rain. And in the studies with Penn State geologists that I know, last year, and in 2011, in Pennsylvania, it was below 3.4 for the entire year. Never went above 3.6 on any rainfall. So that is extremely acidic. Now, one thing about the pH scale that you may not know is it's a logarithmic. Have you studied that in math yet? It means there's a 10-fold difference between one number and the next. So the difference between 3 and 4 may be 1, but 3 and 5 is 10, and 3 and 6 is 100, and 3 and 7 is 1,000. So if our pH of our rain is closer to 3, it's 1,000 times more acidic than it should be. It's pretty scary. If it continues at this rate, in about 25 years you will not be able to go out of your house when it rains. But I think we'll do something about that before that happens. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope so, right? Now, this all started talking to my son Dylan about microns and something called fresh squeezed water. And fresh squeezed water is what I sell to people in their homes. We have a technology that squeezes water. It's called reverse osmosis. Have you ever heard of that? Well, most bottled water you buy in the store is really somebody else's tap water. Do you ever buy bottled water? You know? And if it says spring water on it, it's probably really not from a spring. You know, Copenhagen got in a lot of trouble for going to the well. A lot of them aren't really from springs. But anyway, I test people's bottled water at their home, and so many times it's worse than their own tap water for so many different things, and they buy it from the store. It's remarkable how much of it's somebody else's city tap water. It'll say right on the bottom, Lehigh Valley Municipal. Municipal means city water. Now, do you guys know about EPA standards? I'm here to tell you about EPA standards. The Environmental Protection Agency has standards for drinking water. This started in 1974 with the Safe Water Drinking Act. And every year, people like your parents who have town water, most of you have city water, right? Some of you probably have private wells. They get a report. And the report says, we're proud to announce that your water meets or exceeds all standards established under the 1974 Safe Water Drinking Act. Well, that's the first paragraph in every municipal report in the United States. And there's many thousands of those. And it does meet those standards usually. Right now, there's a few places that I know of, like Liverpool, Pennsylvania, where their arsenic level is 7 times higher than EPA standards, but they're still giving it to them in their water. So that's kind of interesting how that happens. But they also add chlorine to the water. Does everybody know why they put chlorine in water? They kill bacteria, which could clean the water, right? They call that water purification. It's not water purification. Removing things from water so that it's just H2O would be purification, correct? Because if you add something to water, it's not really purifying it, is it? It's just killing germs. All right. Well, what happens when they kill the germs with the chlorine is the decaying bacteria, the dying dead bacteria, bonds itself with organic vegetation. This causes all kinds of new problems. And those are called THMs. Anybody ever heard of that? Well, you will as you grow older. And you can look this stuff up if you're on the internet at home. And trihalomethanes is THMs. There's a dozen of them right here in good old Milton's town water. None of them are safe. The most popular one that people like to cite is chloroform gas, which was outlawed as an anesthesia in 1974, as well as ether. Now, chloroform gas is not safe. You breathe it every time you shower in city water. And it's basically the same molecule as Clorox bleach, only it's a gas, not, I've met people in mobile home parks, and they put straight Clorox bleach right out of the bottle into their well, like once a week, to kill the germs. And then they can't take it, nobody can shower on Mondays or Tuesdays because it burns your skin so badly that you can't use it. All right, well, I need a volunteer to, anybody to go to the, why don't you go, Dylan? You can go to the little boy's room. They probably won't let you in the girls' room. And fill this about halfway with cold water from the good old Milton City. Where does Milton City water come from? Does anybody know? Teachers, anybody? Well, it's about a 50-50 mix from where? Where? Sewage plant? Oh, maybe someday it will. But actually, they took Milton water and ran it to Northumberland. Yeah, years ago. And so to get a higher volume of water, they actually mix it with the river. And there's a lot of nasty things in the river, isn't there? Yeah, tires, all kinds of messed up looking frogs. And because the river, all this affluent and all this runoff from farmers' fields and golf courses and all kinds of things ends up in the river. Now, there's a funny saying the people in Bloomsburg, well, the people in Berwick always say flush your toilet twice because Bloomsburg needs the water. So when you say it comes out of the waste treatment plant, they do. They take the water from the waste treatment plant and they quote purify it. They don't take everything out, but they remove the bacteria and the viruses and they send it to the next town. And then so the people in Bloomsburg say flush twice because Danville needs the water. And Danville, they say do it flush twice because Sunbury needs the water, and Sunbury says Steelens Grove says, you know, it goes all the way Duncan and Harrisburg to the Chesapeake Bay. And then Chesapeake Bay is a big concern of mine. Whatever you pretty much do in this world, in your backyard, if you dump something into the ground, if you dumped a gallon of laundry detergent or Windex or threw something out your window, someday that's going to make it to the Chesapeake Bay, and it's not good at all for the bag. How does it go that far? It's just crazy, huh? Yeah. It's amazing how water travels. Oh, that's okay. It won't matter. All right, I'm going to show you some of my tests. This is kind of cool stuff. Want to see?
Yes.
So we'll take a test tube, and I'll put some good old Milton town water, river water, whatever, in there. We're going to get it mixed up in a test tube here pretty good. I'm going to transfer it over to this other test tube. We rinse it out once. Okay. So, this is going to be Milton's finest right over here, okay? There's your town water. Do a lot of you have Milton town water in your house?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I do when I'm in people's homes is I take this little machine called a hydropod and hook this up to their spigot. And then I run their tap water through it. See if you can get the idea here. I run their tap water through here, and it comes through here, and then these filters here purify their water, and then it comes out here. Clean water. Isn't that neat? It transforms their water into just H2O. Takes all the chlorine, the rocks, minerals, chemicals, acids, nitrates. Okay? You ever hear of nitrates?
Yeah.
Not good. Yeah. So many people have like cow urine in their water. Isn't that gross? Yeah, well, when you live next to a farm, well, everything the farmers put on their fields goes into their water, right? Not out there, water, right? I mean, they don't case all the way down. All right, so let me do this. Clean that out a little bit. And I'll put some purified water in here. Make a little bit of a mess. You'll have to forgive me. So we're going to put the purified water on the left side. It says soft right on it. See that? Soft, clean water. Now what we're going to do is add yellow dye to those samples. Now who can count to 10 in Spanish? You ready? When I put the drops, you count. Ready? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. Very good. Now we're going to count to 10 in French. Who knows French? Somebody does, right? Okay, here we go. Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I have to count in English while she was doing it. Now we're going to do German. Who knows German? Okay. You raise your hand. Do you know German? How about Swahili? You can do that. Okay, let's do English. Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. This is called potassium hydroxide. The first agent was just a yellow dye. Potassium hydroxide is an agent that will allow you to see with your own eyes the rocks, minerals, chemicals, and acids in that water. Okay? Now we're going to put 10 drops back in purified water. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We had a lot of languages going on here. Now I'm going to put these little blue caps over them. We're going to roll them around a bit. Okay? You won't see anything much right away. Oh, let them sit here. And pretty soon, we'll see chemicals will float and that rocks and minerals will sink. It's called a precipitation test because anything that's falling is precipitated. Correct. Now, we're going to do a hardness test. Hardness means rocks and minerals in water. Does anybody have iron in their water at their house? And it all comes out, everything's orange, and you can't even get your clothes clean. And then people buy water softeners, they have to put 2,000 pounds of salt in it every year, and they hate these things. Every Friday night, they got to put a 50-pound bag of salt in. You ever see that? Those are called water softeners. Our company removes those and replaces them with water purifiers. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get some good old tap water. And a lot of people can't have the salt from a water softener. You know why? Because it spikes their blood pressure, kills their plants and their fish. And so, okay, now we're going to get some good old tap water in here. And then we're going to get some purified water here. I got this at my house this morning. I ran it through here, which I really didn't need to because I already have a whole system in my whole house. See, this is a miniature version of a hyperquad. An actual hyperquad is much bigger. It's 5 foot tall, 10 inches around. This is a picture of what I show people.
Where do they store it?
They go right in your basement. Yeah. This is the one that we take to the Bloomsburg Fair or the Harrisburg home shows and things like that. You can see. Normally it's a stainless steel cover, but this is a plexiglass one. People. It's 5 foot tall and 10 inches around. There's 4 filters in it, and they never need replaced ever. I mean, like when you're 90, you just break it in. So that's pretty cool. And what it does is every time you use 1,200 gallons of water, it cleans itself out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Flushes all the junk down in the drain. Now this is tincture soap. Smell it away from your nose, very strong. You recognize the smell? That's what surgeons scrub in the hospitals. This soap is completely different than Dawn or Palmolive that your mom uses to wash the dishes, or you guys do a lot of dishes, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This soap doesn't have, it's just their fact in it. Procter & Gamble, Doebler Brothers, Colgate, S.C. Johnson. I don't know if you guys have heard of those companies, Procter & Gamble. You heard of that? They make chemicals that coat rock and water. You see how this is starting to turn cloudy? That's because there's a lot of rock in it. And the chemicals in your laundry detergent, your shampoo, your toothpaste, and your liquid dish soap coat the rock. The chemicals coat the rock, that's the make suds. That's why, did you ever see people when they have little kids, they have special locks on the little door under your sink? They're called child-proof locks. I call them adult-proof locks because kids figure them out when they're real little. And I always have to remember every time how it opens. But that's because it's poison under there. And that's how we live as a society. We buy poison and bring it in our house. We put it on our skin and our hair and our clothes. We wonder why the cancer rate's out of control. It's insane how people live. That's just how it is. Right? Doesn't have to be. But this is just soap. So we put 1 drop in the super clean water, 1 drop in your tap water, right? We put these little taps. Now, who's strong and who's weak? Strong? Weak? Shake it up real hard, up and down like you're mad at the world. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Come on, how hard can you shake it? Really shake that baby. Okay. Wait, I don't want you to break it though. Okay, now, what's your name? What? Brianna? Okay, Brianna made tons of bubbles here, okay? Look at how many suds she made in 1 drop of soap. What's your name? Brianna! Whoa, we've got a little contest going here. And she didn't make any bubbles at all when she shook up the hard water. Now, why didn't she make any suds? Why? No, because this is the Milton town water, and it's full of rock. It has rocks and minerals in it. It has shale and sandstone and flagstone and limestone and what?
Because of the rocks taking all the soap.
Right, the soap has to coat the rock before you can make suds. So many of you have to put more soap in there, right? So the question is, how many more drops in the soap do I put in the tap water to equal this many bubbles? 5. Let's try 5. Somebody said 5. Okay, there's 1 now, right? So we're going to go, count with me, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's keep going. Let's try 6, 7, 8. So now we got 8. Now, where's Miss Strong? Okay, come on. Shake it up like you're mad at the world. Oh, that UPS driver. Look, my Christmas present at the neighbors. Whatever makes you mad, I don't know. There's 8 drops. Now there's 8 drops, and she has a little bit of bubbles, but it's just getting all kind of foggy and cloudy now, right? Didn't make that many bubbles. Well, let's go to 15. Okay, now we're going to start at 9. You ready?
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Now we got 15 drops in there. I'm going to shake it for you, okay? So we can move along. Now that's what Milton is. That's called grains of hardness. Now there's 15 drops and there's 1 drop. Look at the difference in quality. Which one would you rather, take a shower or wash your clothes? My oldest daughter Valerie says, do it. Let me ask her a stupid question. She says 1 amp. I hate that. That's a dog, right? Now, but which one would be cheaper or more, which one would be a more efficient use of soap? This one. Because you could use 15 times less laundry detergent to do 1 load. You could use 15 times less liquid dish soap. Or for every $15 a family spends on all the cleaners and chemicals they buy every month, they could do the same amount of cleaning in this water for just $1 instead of $15, right? That'd save them $14 a month. Okay. But the average family is four spends $90 every month on all these chemicals and cleaners, and detergents and shampoos and lotions. We call that Sneeze Alley. His son, his brother, Alex, is allergic to those aisles at the store because he has really bad asthma. He can't even go near those aisles. What does that tell you? It's called it Sneeze Alley and Chemical Canyon. All right, now we're starting to see the precipitates. Does that look healthy?
No.
See all that white junk in there?
Yeah.
A lot of that's limestone. Does anybody know anything about limestone? What's what?
It's dead animals, fossil lime.
Oh, that could be. Interesting. Well, flagstone's a rock. Sandstone's a rock, but limestone's not a rock. It's a dead mineral called calcium carbonate, right? You ever hear of that? Well, you don't know about dead minerals and living minerals? Did you learn about inorganic, organic yet? Yes. Okay. Well, dead minerals turn into living minerals in a plant. That's called photosynthesis, right? You do that in your body? No. Vegetable, right? The iron in water isn't like the iron in spinach, guys. The calcium in your water isn't like the calcium in your milk. They're completely different. Did you ever meet anybody who had really bad arthritis? Like some grandma? Yeah. And she has really big, like, kind of discolored, funky looking knuckles and their hips and their knees. See, I've been in the water business 17 years and I've done presentations in 8,000 different homes. And I see these people, and when they have really hard water and all this limestone in their water, sometimes there's like 2 inches in the test tube, or even more. Sometimes there's hardly any water in their water. And I say, that can't be good. It's all over her knuckles and her hips and her knees. And she goes to the doctor, and they call her arthritis, and the doctor throws medicine at the pain for symptoms. It doesn't really help the problem. When does the doctor ever say, bring a sample of your water to the office. Let's make sure there's no dead calcium in your water, and remove that from your life before we do any other treatment. How about kidney stones? You know what they are? Big calcium clusters. They're not always caused by the water, but so many times they are. So many times. And I have hundreds of testimonies from people that used to have kidney stones and never get them anymore because their water's clean. Isn't that great? So the technology we have is called reverse osmosis, and I brought you some here as a comparison. We can compare the tap water to purified water. What reverse osmosis does is it separates good things from bad things. Now, you've heard of kidney dialysis? You have? Did you ever meet anybody who was on that? Well, kidney dialysis isn't great, but it keeps people alive. See, if your kidneys can't process the contaminants in your blood anymore, you're going to die. So what the machine does, it separates the good blood from the bad blood. And then the good blood goes transfused back in your body so you can live another day. Isn't that amazing? That's my company, folks. That's what we do. We make these machines. In maple syrup, they use reverse osmosis to separate the water out of the sugars so that you don't have to stand there and stir and boil for nearly so long. And astronauts have it built into their spacesuits. Did you ever see it on Discovery Channel? Reverse osmosis. You know, if astronauts need to drink on the International Space Station, they got to sweat, or they have to pee first. You know, it's all recycled up there. They don't bring more water up. Isn't that neat? And it all has to do with microns. And, well, you know, the Navy takes salt out of seawater. What's that called? Desalinization. Nobody ever heard of that? Okay. But you can take salt out of ocean water with reverse osmosis technology. And we have big plants all around the world, Hawaii and Formosa, Canary Islands, and all kinds of neat places where they turn ocean water into fresh water. That's pretty cool, right? We don't have any fresh water. Well, reverse osmosis has to do with what it is regarding water. You take a stream of water, you pass it across a semi-permeable membrane. Now, semi-permeable just means the membrane is selective, what it's going to allow it to pass through. Remember, reverse osmosis, you separate good things from bad things. So, as you pass the water across the surface of the membrane, the electrical charge on the minerals rejects them. See, all those minerals? You want to get rid of them. So they reject away from the surface, they go down the drain, and then allows purified water molecules to go through the membrane into the product stream, which means you clean your water. So if you ever look for bottled water in the store, make sure it says reverse osmosis. Can you say that? Reverse osmosis. Okay? But the reverse osmosis in water resources, top filtration, goes to 0.0001 microns. Right, Bill? Now that's 1/10,000 to 1/1,000,000th of a meter. It's hard to kind of boggles the mind, doesn't it? So we're going to take a meter, which is a little over 39 inches. We're going to divide it by 1,000,000. And that 1 micron, we're going to take that one and divide it by 10,000. That's really tiny, isn't it? Is it really boring you? But it's 1/10,000 to 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And that is so tiny, it's almost the size of an atom. And you can squeeze, if you can force water through that hole, the only thing that you're going to squeeze through it is water, right? In kidney dialysis, the only thing you're going to squeeze through is the best blood, right? And if you squeeze ocean water through, there won't be any salt in it. Isn't that neat? And that's what my company does. And so we do all this fun stuff with good water. And we're going to have a little taste test. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little experimentation. I'm going to show you a little something you can do with purified water. Now, most people have never seen water cut grease, have you? Yeah, I had a physics professor up in Mansfield, and he threw me out of his house when I did this for him. But then he called me back a week later after we researched it, and he apologized to me and let me come back, and he became a customer of mine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take butter. I don't know if the school like me doing this, but we're going to go for it. Okay? You can't do this normally at home. You'll get in trouble. Well, we're going to take butter. Got the camera over here? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm going to take butter and smear it all over this. Okay. Now, you wouldn't normally do this. You can probably get in a lot of trouble if you do this in school. But I'm just going to spray water on it. It's just pure water. See, it's just water. Everybody agree? You want to spray that in your mouth a little bit so you can see it's just water? You can. Here, stand up. Come here. It's just water. It's extremely purified water. And I'm just going to clean that butter right here with just cold water. That was a lot of butter, wasn't it?
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Question.
I'm very curious. Like my refrigerator has a filter in it.
Yes.
And then we also get town water.
Right.
So it actually tastes different coming out of my faucet than it does coming out of my refrigerator. Yes. How different are the filters that you have in the fridge or Brita than what does that do?
That's a great question. What she's talking about with the water business, we say refrigerator filters, we call them fish tank carbon filters, like a Brita pitcher. It's activated granulated carbon. The reason we call it fish tank carbon is, very cheaply made carbon. And you can buy this carbon for about $600 a cubic ton, which means there's a 15 cents a carbon in a Brita that they charge you. It's $15 for 2 cents. Now your refrigerator filter, they charge like 40, 50 bucks. They charge you 40 or 50 bucks every You know, they want to give every 3-6 months, but nobody does, you know, most people don't. All right, all they are is aesthetic filters, Tina. They only remove lead and chlorine. Now, lead and chlorine are very good things to remove. They're for taste and odors. That's what aesthetic filter means, okay? They do not purify water in any way. You know, like there's a company called Pure, P-U-R. It's maybe it's Procter & Gamble. Kind of funny that they make a water filter since they're the greatest contributor to groundwater pollution in the history of Earth, but okay, we won't have to go there, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But anyway, those filters do not purify water. They only remove lead and chlorine. Now, some of them remove cysts, like cryptosporidium. Some of them are certified against a few other things, but they don't remove pesticides or nitrates or bacteria, right? So that's really not purifying water. But does that pretty much answer your question?
Well, that's kind of what I thought, but
yeah.
I was just curious.
Now, when the EPA tests your water, for your town water, they do not take into consideration what can go through your skin. That is called dermal absorption. Can everybody say dermal absorption?
Dermal absorption.
Okay.
I have a question.
So you're...
I have a question.
Yes.
You said Pennsylvania has the most acid rain. Why is that?
Second most.
Why?
The New York State. Well, like, for example, New York State's, it has to do with two things.
I heard it had to do with Pittsburgh.
Huh?
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Well, the Ohio Valley. Ohio is very up on acid rain, too.
Is it because of all the manufacturing plants?
Yeah, fossil fuel burning power plants,
Okay.
car exhaust, diesel fumes. But the way it was explained to me by a hydrogeologist up in New York, New York State has 550 dead lakes in the Adirondacks alone, where there's no fish. There's no fish in the 550 lakes because the pH is so low. Yeah? There's no, hold on guys, hold on. Did everybody like the taste of the water? You can have more until it's all gone. If you want more. Okay. But to answer your question better, the way the jet stream flows, and then the way the northerly winds come up through the Gulf Coast up the East Coast, it keeps it all in the center of this area because it can't go east fast enough because of the northerly winds on the east. That's like why we have nor'easters here. And it gets hung up on the jet stream, and then the same chemicals rain twice and stuff. I mean, does that make sense?
Yep, thanks.
No, you don't drink rainwater, kids. I wouldn't eat snow either. Not anymore. Okay. Never eat yellow snow. Okay, now, watch this. So I'm going to do a brain test.
Ladies and gentlemen. Who told you?
Did everybody get water?
He's not finished.
Get your big head out of my camera.
Sit.
Okay.
Sit.
So when I put the drops in, it turns yellow, see? Okay, now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my assistant here. It smells like a swimming pool, doesn't it? Now put your fingers in here. Okay, stick your fingers. Everybody count to 15. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 31, 45. Okay, now put your fingers out. Now we're going to put it in over here.
I can't follow them. Jasmine, you keep walking in front of the camera.
Look. Yellow. No yellow. What happened? Okay. You know how it turns yellow when there's chlorine, right? Well, so she had her fingers in there for 15 seconds and there was no chlorine whatsoever. What happened to all that chlorine that was in the water? What? What? It went directly through her fingers, directly into her bloodstream. The same molecule as Clorox bleach has now entered her bloodstream. It is not healthy. Folks, it is way more dangerous to shower in chlorinated water than it is to drink it, because your liver doesn't even have a chance to process it. You get more chlorine in a 10-minute shower than if you drank 8 glasses of the same water. Okay, let's start all over. You get more chlorine in a how many minute shower? 10-minute shower than if you drank how many glasses? 8. This is all published. You can all look this up on the internet. What? Yeah. Okay, wait. I'll answer that right now. Oh, it burns your eyes. A swimming pool is only 68 to 72 degrees. You don't get more than 3 or 4% absorption. But when you shower, who likes a really hot shower? The hotter the water, the more chlorine you absorb. Direct relationship. A swimming pool, there's not a lot of evidence that the 1968 U.S. Olympic swimming team had a higher cancer rate than the general public. They did all these studies because of chlorine. No, because it's the temperature of the water. So a hot tub would be the worst, and it would be really bad for a pregnant woman, okay? She's going to get all that Clorox directly. Hot tubs are pure, just straight Clorox. Never go into a hot tub for very long. But look at that, from yellow to completely clear in 15 seconds. And I bet you're in the shower a lot longer than 15 seconds, right? Now the last story I have is kind of a nice story. I met a lady, she was 92 years old at a place called Tawana. She didn't need some water. And she didn't really want to talk to me, and she was in poor health. And her name was Mrs. Rockefeller. And I didn't have anything to talk to her about. She had this one-to-town water, and she didn't want me to stay there. She thought someday soon she was going to be moving to a nursing home. So she had no reason for a water purifier. And her husband had passed away, and she had one child who died when he was 50, a boy. And that's all she said. But as I was leaving her house, do you believe in fate? Do you believe sometimes that things are supposed to happen for a reason? Like sometimes you don't just run out of a situation. Maybe you should ask more questions to see if there's some reason you should have stayed. Well, just as I was leaving her house, I noticed she had this blue vase on a beautiful little stand, like a little monument. And this blue vase, just like the blue vase that our company has. And we give away awards called the Blue Vase Award because of this book by a go-getter. And it's called Go-Getters. And if you're a real go-getter in life, you know, you overcome obstacles and you do whatever it takes to achieve a goal. Well, that's what this was about. Bill Peck. Anyways, I said, wow, before I leave, Mrs. Rockefeller, can I ask you about that blue vase? I was heading out. I had all my things. The door was open. I was leaving. Could I just ask you a question about the blue vase? She said, why, certainly. And I said, our company has a blue vase just like that we give out to the top performers and most successful salespeople and telemarketers and canvassers. And she said, well, my son used to work for a water treatment company in Orlando, Florida, and they gave him that vase as an award for being #1 in the whole United States for sales for a water company. I'm like, well, maybe that was us. So I put my things down and I turned it around. And right there it said Water Resources International, that's our company. And it said his name, and he was like a legend in the water treatment business. I didn't even know he had passed away. I said, that was your son? And she said, yes. I said, said, I have one of those vases too in my basement. And so I set my things down and we started talking for about an hour and a half. And she said, you have the same water system that my son sold. She said, I never got one because, you know, I have town water. And I think, oh, you've been missing out. You need to get one of these. And she gave me this big hug, and I didn't have to do anything else. And I just pulled out my paperwork and she wrote me a check for the whole thing. But what if I wouldn't have commented on that vase? What if I would have just walked out? What if I would have and it made her feel wonderful. She was next with her son who made that thing. It made her feel like he was still alive in her home. And every time she took a shower or got a drink or made herself some tea, she thought about her son. And that he worked with the same company that I did. And it really helped her and changed her life. And then I went back to see her 5 years later when she was 97 years old. And she gave me a hug. I'll never forget it. She said the water kept her out of the nursing home because it helped her health and it helped her arthritis and it helped her medicine. And it just made me feel wonderful that I helped her. And when she hugged me, she wouldn't let go. Did it ever happen to you with a grandparent or something? I thought she fell asleep while she was hugging me. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.